What's up guys, welcome back to SSTalkShow. So right now we're in the year 2022, so let's do a market outlook going forward. But first, let's look back into the last half of 2021 and see how the market performed. Okay, let's dissect this into three segments. So let's start with the non-landed private residential, which is condos and apartments first, and then we'll go into the HDB and the landed sector. So let's begin with a little bit of numbers. So if we're looking back at H2 2021, we'll see that there's an average price trend of 1,567 per square feet in July, then it slightly dips into 1,540 PSF, then 1,520 before going into an upward trajectory of 1,635 PSF. Then look at this, there's a massive spike all the way up to 1,882 PSF in November, then correcting back down to 1,637 in December. So let's break this down into new launch, sub-sale and resale. And you can see the numbers here. There is a drop of about 25% from 1,672 units from July to 1,245 units, then 1,252 units in August, 1,037 units in September, and then coming back up to a high of 1,600 units in November before a sharp drop down to 596 only units in December. And I think this is likely due to the December cooling measures that come in from the 16th of December onwards. So let's look at the sub-sales. So these are the numbers for sub-sale, and you can see that they're quite consistent sub 50 numbers. Let's go into resale and you'll see that the demand holds strong with 1,631 units in July, then 1,672 units in August, and gradually decreasing down to 1,558 in September, 1,528 in October, 1,382 in November, surprising, and ending the year off with a 40% drop to only 829 units. So now let's deep dive into what's actually causing the spikes here. So if you go into Q4, you'll find that Canning Hill Pierce is dominating the new launch scene with 582 units transacted at an average of 2,937 PSF. This is almost hitting the 3,000 PSF mark, and you'll find that Momentum Park sold at 228 units at an average of 1,837 PSF. Then you have the Commodore with 164 units transacting at an average of 1,508 PSF. So if you look at this whole graph over here, you'll find that the big triggers are Canning Hill Pierce and Jervois Mansion with an average PSF of 2009 and 2005, driving the price trend up to as high as 1,882 PSF, which is never seen before in the whole private residential market. So let's then zoom out to the year 2015 to 2011, and we'll see how the new launches have performed across the three different regions. And you're going to see this graph over here with the three different colors, and you can see that OCR, RCR and CCR have risen massively in the year 2021, and this is just January to November. You'll find that the numbers spiked to 12,464 in terms of transactions this year, which means a massive depletion of the volume. The next question you're probably going to ask is, what were these projects driving them behind? And these are the top 5 projects that were sold: Momentum Park, Canning Hill Pierce, Pasir Ris 8, Irwell Hill Residences and Midtown Modern. So if you look at the average price per square feet, you'll find that from 1,600 plus all the way up to 2,887 average PSF with a take-up rate of approximately 72% and above. So for those of you thinking, okay, what is the largest volume that has transacted in the market for these condos, then here's a graph, check it out. So you can see the longest volume is from the 1 million band all the way up to the 2.99 mil just before 3 million band, and this is your biggest volume. So the next thing you're probably going to ask me is what's left in inventory and what's the take-up rate, because this will inevitably affect price point. So check out this graph over here and you'll see the total amount of inventory against CCR, RCR, OCR and the annual sales from 2004 all the way to 2002, and this is basically the take-up rate, right? Then we analyze it across years, and we'll find that CCR will probably deplete by 3.39 years, RCR 1.67 years, and OCR just 0.77 years. That means by September this year, our current OCR supply will not be sufficient to hold the market demand. So the next question is probably going to be, then what's the new supply that's going to come online? And these are the estimated units that are going to come online in the year 2022, sectionalized by CCR, RCR, and OCR, and total number of units. This portion is probably more interesting for agents if you want to focus towards where to target next, or if you're a home buyer looking for a new launch. So now let's look at the price projection going forward in 2022. We think that the OCR and RCR are going to continue to remain bullish with a price trend trajectory going forward, but we're going to see CCR start to slow and maybe even go into a negative 2%. So we think that this is probably going to be a time where CCR buyers are going to be very interested to take up well-priced new launches, because I think that this is the biggest segment going to be hit by the cooling measures. Then if we look at a year-on-year private residential growth rate, you can see in this table over here the projections going forward. Most sectors continue to be bullish, but CCR seems to be the one that gets hit the most. So I hope you've been enjoying this video so far. If this has been informative, then smash that like button and consider subscribing to this channel. If you have any questions that you want us to deep dive into, then drop them into the comment section and hit that button. Now, let's talk about the HDB, shall we? If we go into this graph of the last 6 months, you'll find how the market has performed for the HDB, and you see that volume has been holding steady across 2,000 odd to almost 2,005 transactions every month. But look at this price trend. From July onwards, there's just a very steep hike all the way up to $511 PSF, which is, I would say, the all-time high. And I've never seen this kind of price climb in my whole career. If we pull out to a 9-year time period, then you can see the price trajectory. It has just hit an all-time high in the year 2012, and I think supply kind of caused the price trend to just dive all the way down to 400 plus PSF for a long time, from 2014 all the way until 2020, where we have seen the circuit breaker cause the all-time low in terms of volume. But right after that, with the lack of supply, we see that the price trend just rockets all the way up to $450 PSF, and then a further bounce all the way up to approximately $490 PSF with a minor correction here, then climbing back to an all-time high of $511 PSF. So this has never been seen before, and you can look at the volume here. Since the circuit breaker, it has just climbed up all the way to an average of 2,500 monthly, all the way here with minor dips and corrections. But on an average, you can see that the volume is holding very healthily with a forward price trend that just keeps climbing. So this is our projection going forward into the year 2022. We think price is going to continue to go forward and climb, and volume might even be a sustained growth of 6 to 8%. Last year we did a 12.5% annual growth in terms of price, and this year I think we're going to sustain that growth. It looks very much so. So let's go to what has been the most popular estates that transacted in the year 2021. And this graph shows you that Punggol, Sengkang, Tampines, Yishun, and Woodlands has been the most popular in the last 12 months. So if you're a buyer or a seller in these areas and you're thinking maybe now is a good time to sell because price is of an all-time high, then this could be a possible time for you to look at an exit, because I don't think that this price trend will be forever, though it might be sustained in the year 2022, 2023 forward. I think there's new supply that's going to come online, which leads us to the next slide. I'll get to that in a bit. So what are the effects of this sustained bullishness? If we look at this graph over here, we can see that there is a new rule of thumb for an average price transaction. For 3 bedrooms, you see that in 2018, the overall average was 300 plus thousand. And in the year 2021, you'll see that it has climbed all the way to 352,000. For 4 bedrooms, last time you can rule of thumb 432,000 plus minus. But right now, coming forward into 2021, the new average is 504,000. For 5 bedrooms, it used to be 528,000. Now it's more like 603,000. So you can see there's almost a 20 to 25% spike up. There's also an increment in the new high in terms of $1 million HDBs. We used to find them like unicorns, but right now they're more like a dime a dozen. You can see 223 units coming online in 2021, and I expect that number to grow. You can see in this graph over here, most of them come from the central area. Then you've got Queenstown, Bishan, Toa Payoh, and it trickles down all the way even into Ang Mo Kio, Serangoon area. We found that the most expensive resale flat transacted in 2021 was a 5-room flat in Natural Loft at Bishan, which changed hands for 1.36 mil. So for agents, you might be wondering, okay, where can I sell these $1 million HDBs? Here's the volume that's going to come online by means of 5-year MOP, and we can see that in the year 2022, there is 31,325 resale flats that are going to reach MOP. So these are the people that might be interested to sell. In the year 2023, there are 15,000, then it's more or less a tapering off. So the next question is probably going to be, then what is the new supply that the government is going to introduce? Because we basically got less and less of new launches for BTOs coming online, right? And the government has said that they will introduce 23,000 new BTOs coming online in the year 2022. Yay! There is new supply, so don't worry guys. If you're looking at affordable housing, the government has your back. Now let's move into the landed segment, and this is more for landed sellers and buyers. So if you would just look at the volume here, you can see that in July, the average price was 1,377 PSF, and it quickly rose to 1,445, then dropped down to 1,425, pummeled all the way down to 1,347 PSF in October, and quickly recovered in a V-shaped spike all the way up to 1,469 PSF in November, finally ending the year with 1,501 PSF in December. So if you will look at the total volume in the landed sector, you'll find that it totals 344 units in July, then 278 units in August, 337 units in September, 277 units in October, 266 units in November, and 145 units in December. So it more or less mirrors the trend of price trend in the resale category, and you can see that the numbers hold quite strong around the 200 odd mark, but only dipping below that in December. So if we pull out to a larger time frame, then you can see across the last 9 years, prices have been hovering quite stably in a channel of approximately 1,200 to 1,300 range. Then it kind of falls in the year 2017 and then quickly V-shaped spikes back up into the 1,300 channel again and breaks off in the year 2019 into a high of 1,400. But up to this year, towards the end of the year, we've finally broken out of this channel, climbing into the 1,500 realm. Okay, so if you're interested to find out how the price has traveled across 2005 towards 2021, then here's a graph that shows you across the different segments. So you've got the detached homes here, and then the semi-Ds, and of course the largest bar that you can see over here is the terrace houses and the average total revenue in terms of millions. So we can see that there's a new all-time high market cap of 17 billion for just the residential landed home sector alone, and this has trumped the previous high of 13.9 billion, which happened in the year 2010. But if we look at the total volume, 2010 saw 4,407 units as opposed to 3,371 units in the year 2021. So we think that this bullishness is going to continue to be sustained in the year 2022, but growth may kind of slump to like 4 to 6% going forward, and these are numbers that Propnex analysts project, and we agree with. So this brings us to the end of this video. I hope it's been useful for you. If you want us to analyze any particular segment or project, then feel free to drop it in the comment section below and let us know if this was useful for you. I'm Nick Tan. I'll see you in the next video.